Hello, everyone. My name is Cassie Garza, and I'm here with Stephanie Vasquez, and we are with the San Antonio Public Library. We are a part of the San Antonio Public Library Esports Committee. Today, we have a first ever esports panelist discussion. The topic for today is what is esports? Our panelists today are Ansley Partoza from the Greater Gaming Society of San Antonio, Chris Saenz from Texas Gaming Empire and Play Live Nation, Caitlin Tiente from St. Marys University, Esports head coach, and Travis Yang, Texas A&M University San Antonio, Esports head coach. And our first question is, what is esports?
If I may, I'll kind of open it up here. So obviously kind of a broad question there. Esports, I think first and foremost, a lot of people agree it's a subsection of gaming in general, right? Esports wouldn't exist unless we had, video games, PC gaming, that whole genre. So esports kind of focuses more on the competitive aspects of those games. In my opinion, esports actually shares more similarity than differences to what we might consider traditional sports, structurally, and also just in the way you play and the way you practice. If you think about esports, it's kind of like a parallel. So just like in traditional sports, we have soccer, basketball, football, these big international level sports. We have esports titles like Dota 2, League of Legends, Overwatch, Counter-Strike, each of them with their entire own competitive scene, their own industry, their own players. And then when we get to, how you think and how you have to practice about those games, it's also very similar. These aren't kids just playing games and, for fun. Granted, that's usually how it starts, just like, in elementary school, you'd be playing basketball for fun and it evolves into something more. A lot of these kids start out that way, but then they find out, hey, I can join a team, I can start competing, I can potentially win some money, and then they take it from there.
Yeah, so it's essentially the competitive wing of gaming, and more importantly, it's passion, it's dedication, it's commitment. It's really a drive to do something that you're passionate about in the video game world, and compete, like Coach Yang was saying.
Yeah, for me, to kind of mirror what everyone else has already said, esports is competitive video games that are typically played online and in a team setting. The other thing to kind of build on that is that you have different levels of competition. So very similar to sports, you have esports at the local city level, you have amateur esports, you have collegiate esports, and then you have professional esports. And each of those levels also provides a lot of entertainment. A lot of these games are streamed online, whether it be YouTube or Twitch or any other streaming platform. And I think that's what makes this accessible, is that anyone can watch esports, and there's a lot of different levels where you can get involved.
Yeah, for me, esports is also not just online gaming. There's a lot of like offline gaming where you can play in person. A lot of events lately sometimes even have tournaments to support esports, like during conventions and things like that. So it's very nice because then there's a lot of accessibility for people, and usually there's not really any kind of caps. So anyone can join as long as maybe they need a controller or something. And it's just a good way to get the community together and build like sort of a competition. So
Yeah, I think that's the important thing is just like, community, being together and playing the games that you love with one another, and, building relationships and stuff, like Ansley was saying.
And I mean, yeah, we can't have really, competitive events unless we get connected with each other. We can't have, really strong, long-lasting leagues or circuits unless we're, playing against someone. Like this upcoming year, I think Travis and I have already talked about, we're pretty sure we're gonna be playing against each other in some of these leagues. And, while the friendly rivalry and friendly competition is always welcomed, it's part of a bigger push to bring esports to San Antonio, because if we don't have that, competition and the brand identities of the teams, then it makes it really hard to kind of identify with esports.
Right. I think the best approach is an organic approach, right? The rivalries will come, no doubt about that, but what we're more focused on is just, making sure that we have solid programs that people, our students and, fans from the community, they can have a good time supporting us, right? We don't want to just pick someone and say, you're our rival, even though we haven't competed yet or whatever. It's like, no, that'll happen, another year or two, I'm sure.
So I'm hearing how, esports is competitive, it has that competitive streak to it. I know with competitive sports, you have to be in like peak performance in order to be at the national level. Is it similar in esports? You have to be at peak playing level in order to compete, or can anybody that's played the game for a while be able to pick it up?
I think that kind of touches on what Caitlin was saying, is there's like different levels. So I mean, like, gaming is pretty universal, and a wide range of people can pick it up, but just the amount of dedication and the passion that you have for it will take you to different levels. So you could always be at the casual level and just play in local friendlies and stuff like that, or you could try and really dedicate the time and the effort to be on the competitive level and try and make pro teams and stuff like that. And just to kind of touch on something else, I think another important thing about esports is that it builds those life skills in all of us. A lot of it is like social skills, and then like building teamwork and learning to work within a team and stuff like that, and those kind of structures. So esports is definitely valuable on a personal building level, as well as just playing a video game.
And when you look at how the video games these days, especially ones that are focused more for esports, how they're developed right from the get-go, it's not like football's been around for a long time. Maybe once in a while we see some rule changes, but for the most part, the base rules are the same in basketball. When you look at how these esports titles are being designed now, they're designed so that a casual person coming just playing for fun, they can have fun, right? You can play Overwatch and not have a clue about how good you can be and still have fun, play with your friends. But if you choose to pursue that route and put in, say, 10,000 hours, you can get really good at that game. The sky's the limit. It just depends on how far you want to push it. And then esports comes in just kind of as that structure to facilitate, your goal setting. Like, oh, now I'm this good, I can try and play in this qualifier. Or I'm this good, now I can try to compete at the national level. Or I'm this good, now I'm trying to win a road championship, right? Esports just provides that structure around, the individual's passion.
And to add on that, I think some of the other skills that you either pick up on the way or skills that really help you to compete at very high levels is, because you're in a team setting more often than not, working with your team and communicating with your team is super important. But one thing that I kind of always come back to is like gamers or players' ability to deal with ambiguity. So with a lot of these video games, unlike football, right, there aren't a whole lot of rule changes, but with Overwatch or League of Legends, there are new heroes and champions that are introduced to the game, new instances or mechanics that can affect the gameplay. And so I think players who can play at a very high level, I think their ability to deal with ambiguity and be flexible and adapt to different situations is something that sometimes gets overlooked, but I think that's a huge part of playing in these team settings, is being able to deal with the unknown, especially if a major change happens to the game, which happens a lot. And it leaves a lot of room for creativity, for strategies, and figuring out, what is strong and what's no longer going to be strong anymore.
Yeah, there's a lot of adaptability that comes with esports because some people think that if you have the talent for it, then you're just like born with it. But I've seen a lot of instances where it's like you should definitely put in like 1,000 or something hours. So because it's like harnessing that skill, like a basketball player is not going to be like the top basketball player overnight. You got to keep practicing and working at it. And then with all of the updates or so that a game could have, that's when you got to study maybe or have a coach to be able to tell you this has happened, we're going to change this thing about the team, or even like things like map awareness in games. If you're in like a CSGO type of situation, like knowing exactly like how things work within the game affects how players, like whether they will be in the casual level or the more competitive levels.
And
Muscle
this leads
memory.
to my next question. Oh, did you want to add anything?
Oh, I was just saying muscle memory, like putting in those hours and that work.
Yeah, that too, definitely. This is a nice segue into the next topic, because we've had each of you sort of discuss esports, and you added a tidbit of a description that sort of relates to your role in the esports community in San Antonio. So would you describe your role in the esports community here in San Antonio, like how your role affects that community and what you do in that role?
So I guess my role is trying to bring these competitors together and find them in different areas. Because you always find like these little patches, like, oh, this person plays this game, oh, this person over here plays that game, and so you just try and grab them all together and put them all in the same place. So that way they can compete, and then they build relationships as well. And so it's always interesting, like over time, seeing their friendships develop, and then your friendships develop with them as well. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting and crazy how you just get to know people on different levels and stuff just through video games and competitive gaming and stuff like that, or even like universities and stuff like that. Trying to bring them together and high schools and stuff. That's kind of the ultimate goal of Texas Gaming Empire, is to build the in-person leagues for high schools and colleges and stuff here in San Antonio and across Texas and stuff. And yeah.
I'd say on paper, right? For me as a coach, right? It's recruit a team, compete, kind of more than you think of as a traditional coach. But in reality, it's much more than that. I find that a lot of it is really just on the awareness side. A lot of people still don't know what esports is. Sometimes it's the players themselves. They may play the game a lot, but they don't know that, hey, there's this other route I can take with it. It's talking to those students, talking to their families, talking to community members, showing them that, hey, this is a real thing that you can do something with should you choose to do so. As for other organizations, community, and working with them, that's kind of an area that I'm personally still learning more about. So obviously I want to defer to those experts and learn more about what they're doing. But just from my position, yeah, it's a lot of outreach and just trying to get the word out about esports, and that it's a positive force.
Yeah, for sure. Like Texas Gaming Empire, we actually just transformed a nonprofit, and so we are trying to do things like try and get donations, sponsorships, and stuff, so that way we can try and give scholarships for high school students to go into colleges and stuff. And we kind of wanted centered around esports and stuff too, but we wanted to also be about the things that go around esports, anything from like marketing and stuff like that to promoting it, like graphic design with the website and flyers and stuff, broadcasting if they want to do commentating or take pictures and write articles for their high school newspaper. And even on the college level, we kind of just want to build basically its own community, that just kind of cycles itself, where like we help the college students get hands-on experience, and then the college students also help the high school students get a little bit of hands-on experience as well. And just a continuing evolution and a cycle that I think will be really awesome for the community, and really bring about some awesome things for the city of San Antonio and Texas at large.
Um, I think my role in esports is, even though I am kind of the event coordinator, sort of the head of the Greater Gaming Society of San Antonio, we are a small group of maybe, I don't know how many people, but like we originally started because we're an indie development group and we all got together after the first PAX South looking for other indie developers in the city. So we found out like there's many of us and we all wanted to help and support each other. And this ties us with esports because of course if we're going to make games, we're going to like to play games and play games with each other. So I like to play the support role often in like League of Legends and any other game I play. That's like the thing that I am attuned to the most. So I love to support everyone by promoting people's games if they make them. I like to promote whether people have tournaments. For personal levels, if I'm traveling out of city, I will tell people like, oh, this tournament is happening for this city, and I'll promote like local players because I feel like if we are to grow as a community, we have to learn that these communities exist. So that way we can all support each other and know that if this venue is legit, if this tournament is legit, and many people will go to it. So.
Yeah, very similar to Travis, since we have literally the same job title. On paper, yes, the job is building a team, recruiting, administering tryouts, and fielding teams for competition, but in reality, it is so much more than that. While yes, it's recruiting, it's also outreach and community building, and again, trying to inform as many people as possible about esports at St. Mary's, and why esports at St. Mary's is special and important, and why you should become part of our community. Alongside that, it's community building. It's working with and reaching out to the current student body, bringing them into the fold to this new program, because I'm not a St. Mary's alumni. There's a lot for me to learn, and so far what has worked the best is bringing in the current community to get their feedback. What do they want to see? What do they want us to do? What concerns and questions do they have? And it's really, I think part of it is also breaking down stereotypes that gamers are lazy, or that only men play video games, or that playing video games in college is something that's going to affect your schooling. But in reality, the program that we're building focuses on academic and competitive excellence. If you're not making the grades, you can't compete. And to make the grades, that's also a lot of hard work. None of my players are lazy. They're really hardworking, and they go above and beyond. And I think that's what the job encompasses. Building these teams that go above and beyond, and making sure that this is a positive experience for our student athletes, and making sure that this is a safe environment, regardless if you're a varsity player or a student or a high school student who's interested in the program. Making sure that when you join our Discord or attend any of our events, that this is a safe environment and it's a welcoming environment, and that if you, for whatever reason, feel unsafe or unwelcome, that you know who you can reach out to. You can reach out to me, you can reach out to my entire esports staff, and we're going to do our best to make sure that you feel included and welcome and safe.
And listening to everybody's answers, it definitely shows how diverse each role is within the community, the esports community. We have coaches, we have local gaming society, we have somebody who, Chris has a nonprofit, an esports nonprofit. So it seems like we have different roles within the community of just esports. We're just focusing on esports. And I'll share everybody's contact information right now. So we'll start off with Ansley. And anything you would like to add about your contact information, Ansley?
I use email a lot for business, but I always check like any of these a lot. Facebook group, definitely people should join it for the Greater Gaming Society because we post all of our events there. Same with the Discord, all of our events and announcements will be on both platforms. It just depends on what people use the most. Let's see, I also stream on Twitch because that's a link there. And I stream video games and lots of like different things. Occasionally I cook, so that's a fun thing.
That's a bonus. Bonus. All right, Chris.
Yeah, Texas Gaming Empire. We have the website. I forgot to include Twitch, but we also have Twitch, twitch.tv/Texas Gaming Empire. Yeah, I put my cell on there. Please feel free to text me, especially. Sometimes I'm not so good at answering my phone. I tend to have it on silent most of the time, but I'll always respond to a text, even if it's like at 2:00 in the morning. I'm pretty relaxed like that. Like, it doesn't matter. I do esports 24/7. I'm working on something. So feel free to hit me up at any time, but you can find us on the website, Twitter, Facebook. You got the email there. And then also I'm the store manager at Play Live Nation off 1604 in Culebra. Definitely come see us. We got 22 Xbox stations, 16 PC stations and stuff. So it's a really awesome environment. And we look forward to hosting events for high schools and colleges there, and, just tournaments in general. And yeah.
Thank you. And Caitlin?
Yeah, any three of these methods work. I will check my email, Discord, or Twitter at least once, twice a day. Depends on the day. And I think just kind of like final thoughts. To me, esports is for everyone, regardless of who you are, how old you are, what games you play, how often you play, or if you've literally never played a video game in your life. I feel that there's always someone within the community that is up to the challenge of teaching someone and bringing someone new into the fold. And so I think anyone here on this panel is open to questions and chatting about gaming and esports. And so whomever you feel most comfortable reaching out to, I highly encourage you to do so.
Awesome. Thank you. And Travis?
Yep, also available pretty much all the time. And just kind of to echo on what Kate was saying, and I'm sure this will be discussed in a future panel, hopefully, but it is definitely open to all, even outside of playing the game, right? If you're interested in, broadcasting, on management, handling, coordinating events, these are all a part of esports, so don't, even if you have questions that aren't related to being on a team, but you want to, play some other role, absolutely reach out to any of us, because as you can see on the panel, not all of us are necessarily, quote unquote, the traditional professional gamer you might have in your mind. We have experiences in management and programming and graphics design and event management. These are all, skills that play into esports. So feel free to ask any of us about, any of those topics.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for participating in the first video of this series regarding esports